Hey YouTube, in this video I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my Eradicator Dragonic Descendant deck. I call it the Zillion deck because everybody who's watched my channel for a while, they know that I hate Narukami because every time I open boxes, Narukami always trolls me and I like pull all their stuff. So, which is what happened last time, like I pulled all the Zillions. So even though I only had like one Descendant. So I was like, you know what, let's make it a Narukami deck, big deal. I don't have any of the, I don't have Voltage, I don't have VMAX. So, I mean, I have Vanquisher. I have Vanquisher, but I was like, you know what, I don't have any of his Stride units, so let's make Eradicators come back. It's easy. So anyway, so I've made the deck. So this is my take on Eradicators. I know that they were pretty popular back in the day during like Break Ride format. So this is it. So my original Dragonic Descendant that I pulled way back when I opened my BT10 box. So I have one copy of him. Then I went up and picked up 3 of the rare reprint copy, so I could actually make the deck. So here he is, his new artwork. I actually kind of like the new artwork. The new one of this, Raging Form got a new one too, but I don't have the Raging Form one because I have my Raging Forms. But this guy looks pretty cool. It's more like a zoomed out view. But I don't know, ever since I made the deck, like this is always the one I end up riding for some reason. Like 9 times out of 10 I always ride this one. I don't know why. It just always is in my opening hand. I mulligan, then I pull it. Anyway, Descendant, he's a pretty good pressure card. If you have the setup for him. So the backups are just pretty much hodgepodge extra Eradicators that I had sitting in my binder. So my 2 Tempest Bolts that I pulled back in the day, they came out with Minerva, their anti-link Joker. This card, surprisingly, in playtesting the deck against other people, they hate this guy. They really hate when I ride this guy because typically against Narukami, the opponent doesn't want to call out too much. They don't want to go like all out early, otherwise you'll punish them for that. But this guy gains advantage for them like playing conservative, so as well as your own field. So he has a very good continuous skill, which I think this Tempest Bolt is kind of an underrated card. I feel like if they ever make a Stride unit for this guy, I feel like this deck will probably be better than the Descendant one. But yeah, other cards in here include my 1 Gauntlet Buster Dragon, and then my 1 Twin Thunder Dragon. So they're all Eradicators. This one's from the Fighters Collection 2014, I believe. They're all Limit Break cards, so they can all benefit from the Limit Break Enabler. But yeah, so 4 Descendant and then 4 non-Descendant. Because for whatever reason, Bushiroad decided not to give Descendant a support grade 3, even though they gave one for Raging Form. So, whatever. Anyway, yeah, so that's the grade 3 lineup. For grade 2s, 4 Voltage Horn Dragon. Now this is the only non-Eradicator card in here besides Anastasia, because, and the reason why we play Voltage Horn Dragon is because of the G Guardians. So both of Narukami's current G Guardians, both Bulwark Dragon, which is the new one that came out recently with the new Descendant stuff, and Vritra, both of them require Thunderstrike. This guy requires Thunderstrike 1, and this guy requires Thunderstrike 3. So this one is very hard for this deck to pull off his Thunderstrike 3 skill, which is actually a pretty nice skill. It's kind of like a weaker version of Denial Griffin. But this guy, you really want this guy to have that extra 5k shield, so that's why we run 4 Voltage Horn Dragon, so we can at least be able to bind one of the opponent's things. So that's why he's in there. That's why I'm running him. But because I'm running him, it does hurt your starter choice. Like, for instance, I was running Linchu in the beginning. Then I found myself riding this guy a lot. And then Linchu would be dead, so I couldn't run Linchu. So I have to run a different type of starter for this build, at least for it to be consistent. So anyway, 4 Voltage Horn Dragon, he's really good. And then 4 Eradicator Dragonic Descendant. He's in here, even though he's kind of dead when you have in those games where you have to ride like Tempest Bolt. He is still really good because most of the time, since I am running 4 copies of Descendant is typically still going to be my most common Stride unit that I use. So, or most of my games, I'm able to use this guy. So 4 of him actually. And then I am running 3 of the double gun Eradicator Hakusho. So this is basically, it gains 3k every time one of the opponent's rear guards is put in the drop zone, and you just have to have an Eradicator Vanguard. So yeah, you can maybe run 4 of this and 3 of that, or maybe instead of running this, could run something else like Cho-Oh or something. But I don't really like Cho-Oh. He's not really meant for this build. Or Zoitin, they're not really necessary in here. So anyway, that's the grade 2 lineup. For grade 1s, like I said earlier, we are running Anastasia because she's unflipped perfect guard. The deck does counterblast quite a bit, especially with Tempest Bolt. If you ever do Tempest Bolt skill, you'll be happy that you run these as opposed to the Eradicator one. But if you only have the Eradicator one, that's fine. I mean, if you're ever in a situation where you have to discard 3 for Descendant's Limit Break skill, then it's more optimal to run the Descendant Perfect Guard, or the Eradicator one. But it's like, who would want to drop a Perfect Guard for his skill, restand skill anyway, unless it's a very like clutch situation. But like I said, the nice thing about Zillion is that he doesn't require you to discard Eradicator cards for his restand, so that's why he does allow you to potentially run a more diverse lineup. Next, because all my grade 3s are Limit Break 4, I'm running 3 Egg Helm Draco Kid. He's really good. It helps the deck if you go first and you open up with one of these, then you can still, you know, get the Limit Break skill off early. So if you're not able to stride first, you still can potentially do Limit Break skill first. Then 3 of the new Sabo. So she is only works for Descendant. Basically, when Descendant attacks, she can counterblast 1, and you can choose one of your other units, and that unit and her both get 4k. So she gives 8k potentially to a column, a rearguard column. Or you could stack the 4k on to Descendant. There was like one situation where I found myself having to do that just to get to like 36k or something like that for Zillion, but doesn't happen too often. So 3 of her, because it is still Descendant focused deck. So we run her, and then again another Descendant support card. We have Slasher Dragon. Reason why I run her at 3 and this at only 2 is because this is, first of all, this thing's countercharge skill is GB1 restricted, and then the other skill, if it doesn't hit, is the Soul Charge 1, which isn't really that necessary in here. I feel like she's really your power gainer, especially with the restand. She's not GB restricted, so you can do it with a Limit Break, with her and like an Egg Helm on the field. So that's why I feel like that's the more optimal lineup if you're going really Descendant focused. And then the last 2 I'm running are Eradicator Psyche. This guy's used for unflip. He's basically like Perdition. Perdition's had a card like this, and then they gave Eradicators the same type of card. I mean, you can run him if you want. Otherwise, I'd recommend, instead of running this, you could run the Stride Fodder, the Dragonic Vanquisher's Searcher. You could run that in here as well. But I decided not to take it out of my Vanquisher deck, so that's why this is in here. And then for the trigger lineup, it's 4, all of Eradicator stuff, so 4 Eradicator draws. The reason why we run draws, same reason for Raging Form, there's no Stride Fodder, so you want to draw some grade 3s, or you want to have extra Stride Fodder. And on top of that, you minus a lot, because you're dropping 3 cards for both Zillion's restand, as well as the regular Descendant restand, so draw cards help make those costs lower. Then 4, Capnus. He's the new critical that Eradicators got last year from the G series, but he doesn't really work with Descendant. It's like he works well with stuff like Tempest Bolt, stuff that like retires your own stuff. Then you can like use his skill. So, but still he has a defect, so we run him. Then 4 more Eradicator criticals. And then 4 Eradicator heals, because you need Eradicator stuff for the discards. And then the starter I'm running is Lizard Soldier Saishin. You can run different Eradicator starters if you want. Like, the only reason why, like I said, Linchu doesn't work is because oftentimes I find myself riding Voltage Horn on turn 2 because I am running max copies of him, so it is bound to happen. at some point. So, and then, yeah, then I can't use Linchu's skill, because typically on grade 2, when I'm on grade 2 is typically when I would use Linchu's skill to retire their stuff. So I went with him so he can, like, retire their starter. So basically, you deny your opponent from being able to use their starter, so whether that's, like, TikTok Worker or Chronodran or, you know, any of those, like, GB restricted starters, the Neonectar ones, he's pretty good for that reason. Same reason why, like, Blaster Dark, Revenger Abyss is still really, really good. And the Kagero Draw Trigger does the same thing. So, that's why I went with him. People will say, like, well, that just means that Narukami doesn't have access to their own beneficial starter. But you know what? It's never a bad thing to deny your opponent's broken starter from being able to go off. So, that's why we run him. Pretty good at countering meta right now. Anyway, moving on to Stride. Don't want this video to be too long. Run 4 Zillion, you gotta run 4. Unlike my Raging Form deck that I showed, where I'm only running 2 Ramp, Ramp has like a very hefty, you have to discard 2 grade 3 Abyss Dragons. That's kind of like hard to do, and especially since you discard a 3 to Stride in the first place, so that means you had to use a total of 3 grade 3s that turn to use his skill. So that's why I only run 2 of those, and I just decided to run Spectral Blaster Diablo. But for the other one. But anyway, Zillion is needed at 4 in order to, because typically if you ride Descendant, you're going to be able to do this effect both times. So, and another thing too worth mentioning about Zillion is not limit break restricted, so you don't need to rely on the limit break enabler for him. So yeah, unlike Ramped, Zillion's a little bit more, he gives you more freedom in how to play him. He's much easier to stride than this. But comparing the two of them, this one is definitely the better one, because typically what I've seen happen is I first stride Zillion and they always no guard. They'll just YOLO no guard, and then I can't restand him. So that's the only thing where Zillion kind of fails. He has some similar issues. It's like an inverse of the Mega Colony stride that hits and then they can't restand. So that one they always guard, this one they never guard. So it's kind of weird. But anyway, 4 Zillions, so you can do them twice, because they typically are not going to guard them the first time. Then 2 of whatever else I have for Narukami at the time. So I've got the Thunderstrike 3 guy, which I almost never use, but he's very endgame. Assuming you're able to use Voltage Horn, always use your Voltage Horns, because you need to bind their stuff. And then to also sort of help with trying to get to Thunderstrike 3, I'm running Zoras. You run Zoras if you've already exhausted all your Zillions, and you don't have Thunderstrike 3, so then you run Zoras to try to poke at them. It sounds pretty lame, but I mean that's pretty much what Narukami, at least Eradicators, have to do these days. And then 3 Vitra, 2 Bulwark, then 1 Desmal and 1 Seabreeze. Seabreeze is pretty good. Both of these are like top 10 of 2016 cards, so not too bad, but it's a pretty fun deck. It's not that great. Like, I wouldn't feel confident taking this to a tournament or anything, but it's still fun that they did give Descendant support, because I think he was a very popular card from back in the day. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that deck profile video. Let me know in the comments what you think of Eradicators, how they compare to Turbo Brawlers and Vanquisher. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.